Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the John Hallett podcast. I've got Josh joining me today. We're talking about auditory and visual exclusion, tunnel vision, that type of stuff. Not hearing anything at all in a self-defense scenario. How you doing, Josh?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Oh, I'm just a giant floating head. I got to scoot back. There we go.
You have a big giant head. Well, good to have you back. Thank you
Yeah.
guys for joining us in this series. We're getting close to the end. We did have that. We talked about it last time. Somebody had a request for a podcast on medical. Stop the bleed's always important. So we're working on that one, but we've got a few more in this series that we're working on for the ClearSky self-defense and fighting system. I like this one a bit. We have it in class. People can't, hey, instructor was yelling time or whatever, and it takes them, 3, 4, 5, hey, and they're just locked in. I mean, even sometimes the kids, they're playing, they're starting to fool around, and you're like, time, hey, come on, guys. And they're still messing around, and everybody else is like in huddle up, they're just locked in. They're tuning out, everything else going around them.
It's
So
fun to watch. But even as an adult walking out there and trying to remember to stack your opponents, just finding that person was so hard. I'm not saying I'm good at it, but at least over time, my exclusion has gotten a little wider, I guess. I guess the opposite of inclusion. You see a little bit more the longer you train. But once you get in the zone, like you're locked on that target. It's kind of like you're a homing missile and you can't get out of it, right? And
yeah,
I've been there a lot.
yeah, it's tough. I think the first time I really recognized that, getting tunnel vision, is playing football and high stress, and you just get locked into your target, and blam, you're trying to tackle that person. Sometimes you miss somebody coming to block you because you're so keyed on that running back, and you miss somebody. That was something I try to do all the time. Essentially, the blind side, but you got to hit the guy from the front, type of thing. But looking for that guy that's not looking, they're missing you, and you're coming out of the corner of their eye, and boom, essentially you hit them from the front, but their head's turned. You can miss a lot, and that's huge when we're talking about self-defense. Being out there on the street and you miss that second attacker. That's
Or even somebody telling you, stop, don't, quick, exercise over, right? All that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that it could be law enforcement on the scene, drop the gun. And you're not even hearing that law enforcement officer telling you to drop the gun that has come on scene. You've potentially missed all of that, right? Yeah. I mean, it just depends on timing. Obviously would hope we have a combination of the two, that you've got sirens, you got lights, hope coming on the scene, potentially, not always, right? You could be in a building, there's a lot of things you could miss, and now you're missing that key component. That's especially in our citizen defender class, is where is that muzzle? You're flashing that thing around, and you're missing drop the gun, and you're turning, presenting a gun, just scanning. That's why we're always, generally speaking, I hate to use the word always, muzzle down.
We'd like to.
In most scenarios, not all. So tough.
Yeah, it worries me. Like you don't hear a command or something. The kids are the best because they'll just, like, once you get them on something, they start going, and you're like, all right, boys, you're done. Boys. And they can't get there, right? They can't take that moment to just turn and look. I mean, is that how we fight the auditory visual exclusion, is to take a moment to look and turn our heads? Is that why you have us turn and look so much?
Yes. Yeah. And it's a hard thing to do. You get that locked in, or now it's your partner's turn, and you kind of miss the end of your rep. I'm always saying that, I see people kind of disconnect when they think the fight's over, and you need to get that visual scan.
Yeah.
And even just moving away from, your quote partner, but that's the attacker. You got to move away. It's huge. We're constantly reminding people, and I need that reminder. I was just doing some cert training pistol drills before the 5:30 a.m. class or the 6 a.m. class, and working that and just reminding me, like, look around, look around. You do a little drill, look around, move around, look, scan. We constantly need to be reminding ourselves, because it's easy just to get locked in on the next rep, like, okay, I'm going to do that one again. I didn't like that shot. I missed that. That choke defense could have been better, whatever it may be. Like, oh geez, that happened, and you got to finish that rep, look
Yeah,
around, scan.
and when you're doing scenarios, and that one time you do look and you catch the guy, you're like, oh, so that's why you do it. You do see that guy hanging out in the corner on the floor, holding the fake pipe that's ready to attack you, right? It's like, oh, now I get it. It's kind of aha moments when you're like, oh my goodness, all I got to do is just take a moment to look around, and it could save my skull from a giant pipe wrench or something.
Yeah, or just the escape route.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
second that you might have enough space to get out of there, but now you didn't see it, so now it's taking another second or two when you're scanning around. You're like, oh, I should get out of here, and you don't know where to go. And that's a good thing always. To you're in someplace new, is scanning for the exits. Get familiar. Walked into a restaurant, whatever it may be, of just scanning around. Where's a safe place to go? And
yeah.
again, stop being super paranoid.
I'm not. I quit looking around. Like, are you talking about me, or are you talking about people in general?
I don't know. You're
Because
taking that personally.
no, no. I've gotten much better of just not turning into like a sentinel sitting there going,
Yeah,
looking at
like a
everything.
robot.
Just relax, right?
Yeah,
Sit back, enjoy it. Just watch though.
yeah. It's just being aware of your environment. Where am I going to go? It's the same. What's going to happen? So,
So many what ifs.
that's
So
I think sometimes I don't know. The tunnel vision might be harder than the auditory. I'm not sure.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, how big does that cone get, right? Because as stress goes up, the cone for your vision gets smaller and smaller and smaller, right? And the cone for your hearing gets smaller and smaller, or at least for the listening. So how do we battle that? And I mean, I've asked the question of you, and you're usually like, well, you train it a whole bunch. Really can't like flip a switch and say, get bigger cone, right? You got to go through a bunch of them, and you're just like, just reps. But is that really
Yeah, I mean, it's
the
hard to
major
do. I
key?
mean, you got to be scanning. That's why even I was teaching defending a low front kick, and just one of my elementary school girls. I'm like, okay, kick me low, and they look low. I mean, she's already low. I mean, she's elementary,
Yeah,
she's like
just
not even
kick.
up to my chest, or maybe around chest level, and they sit like their eyes go down, even though she's engaging me, that I'm taller, but she's bringing her gaze down to look at that target of just trying to be big. Went back at her. I'm like, now watch me. I'm going to kick you. And as the defender, now she starts looking at the feet again. I'm like, did you see? Everybody see her gaze, or her head even just tilted down and look right down at my feet. Watch me. I'm just trying to have a big gaze, big gaze. Now I'm throwing a front kick at you. I see it. I don't need to drop my head and look. But that's super hard, right? It's like the quarterback, again, football reference. Um,
Yeah.
the quarterback, didn't look away at that receiver. They knew he's just zeroed in on that one receiver where he's going to throw it.
And you
Um,
tell them to look low, and kids do it. Kids are amazing. They follow instructions usually to the adults, because they'll just do what you ask. And it was funny watching you do that. They're like, throw low, and all of them just look straight down. It's pretty interesting the way that we learn it, right? Even at that age, it's still a challenge. So
yeah,
the
just
adults don't worry
to
about
know
it.
where to look. Like I just say, big gaze, have those eyes big and wide open. It's it's even different than that quarterback that might be looking at the receiver, and they know where the other guy is on the field.
Mhm.
They know where they should be. That's
Smart.
different. They're kind of going to known, but they boom. they'll hit that receiver really quick as, whatever their outlet receiver, whatever they're going to say, it's their safety, like, covered outlet,
Yeah.
and, by the time they get to the outlet, I mean, good chance, they're getting sacked, or it's, maybe time to run, because
Right.
there's nobody, everybody's covering receivers, and there's 10, 15 yards of open turf,
Yeah, it's a
and just a
nightmare as a
couple big
quarterback.
linemen trying to chase
Right.
you.
But
So,
it's yeah. Yeah. It's crazy stuff.
that visual is hard. You gotta train it. Yeah. Big eyes, look around,
It
train
explains why
yourself to
you
do
always
that.
had those big eyes. I'm like, what's he doing? Like John gets in it, he'll start training with people and suddenly I see him doing this. I'm like, now it dawns on me. It's like you're just looking around. You're doing exactly what you're
Yeah.
telling all
I'm
of us
trying to
to
keep
do.
my eyes big and open.
Oh,
That's that tunnel vision I talked about in football. I mean, the auditory was tough. I mean, that's again, like, sports was the first place I noticed that. I mean,
yeah.
there was one, I was doing my thing on, it was either kickoff or punt return, and would run, the two backs, they would always cross, and sometimes would hand it off just to add a little, uh,
Misdirection.
deception to the
Yeah.
other team. And we knew we were forming a wall for that receiver to come around the sidelines, on the kickoff or punt return, whatever it was. And I was zeroed in. I was looking for somebody coming. I was at the key point where they were going to be making the turn, and somebody's usually chasing them. Somebody's right on the heels, and if you can just take them out with a legal block from the front. Just remember my friend Chad, like, boom, he was super fast. Chad Machete, he's grabbed, and he's like stopped, and boom, I just flatten the kid before he gets another hand on him.
Wow.
And I just remember that, boom, I couldn't hear anything up to there with the crowd. And boom, he runs for a touchdown. And I remember at some point in there, just the crowd, like, already just turned back on.
Mhm.
You're like, oh, I didn't hear anything. I'm just zeroed in on this guy.
Mhm.
Boom, I hit him. A second later, I just hear the crowd erupt and roar. But you're like, I didn't hear anything.
Mhm.
It wasn't like the crowd just suddenly got loud. I didn't hear a thing up until that point because I was so focused on the play. And that
Yeah.
can again, in self-defense, be a real hindrance. You might be missing something. Either way,
Yeah. Different context. Yeah.
yeah,
You have to
with
do it
your
on the
eyes,
field
your
when you know that.
ears, you might miss something, and
Yeah.
that can be big. So
You're in a giant rectangle waiting for that stuff to happen, kind of already knowing where a person's going to be and what they're going to do for the most part. You see the plays, you dissect them, but in real life, in the self-defense realm, you don't get the luxury of knowing who's the quarterback and who's your blockers. You got to look
yeah,
around.
yeah, it's tough. One thing I was kind of thinking about on this podcast, what about the person with hearing loss? That's going to
Yeah.
be tough for them. It's, even kind of reading body language.
Mhm.
It's something you'd probably want to document, especially, if you're one of those guys that kind of refuses to
Yeah.
recognize that you got a problem and you can't hear anything,
I,
and
I,
you don't have a hearing aid. That hearing loss should be documented. Self-defense, like, hey, I have hearing loss.
yeah.
I couldn't hear what was going on, which could be a factor um, in your defense, and
Mhm.
you didn't have it documented. And now, of course, being able to read body language and other things like that, are a big factor.
Mhm.
What somebody's looking like. I mean, sometimes I'm going, I don't care about the words coming out of your mouth. It's what's your body doing? You're like, yeah, you're
Yeah.
reaching for a knife. You're
Yeah.
coming forward at me with a knife.
Yeah. You're getting
I'm
closer.
not really sure I care what you're saying. Um, when somebody's coming at you that way, especially if you're going, hey, stay back away from me, man. What do you got that knife for? Oh, I'm here to present you with $1 million.
Hmm.
Why do you have a knife? Like, I don't care what's coming out of your mouth. So, in some aspects, just reading body language and the situation,
Hmm.
can help make up for that hearing loss, but it still is a factor, right? Anything that we're not 100% is bringing our capabilities down. It's
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah. Don't let them get close. Ah, that's the other thing is that I find that the closer they get, the more information I'm dealing with right here, and everything else becomes secondary because I have to
Yeah.
deal with what's happened in that moment. It's fast. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it goes real fast. I mean, if you find a good partner and you kind of work these things out slow, it makes it easier because you get to see it at a pace that starts you off right. Because eventually you get up to the speed. But when it comes in fast, I mean, it's just, oh, poop, got to go, right? It's time to go. And then you
Yeah.
got to do something. You get caught
Yeah.
up in so much as it is, you'll lose everybody around you. I'm in my own head sometimes thinking about what should I go? What should I do? How's this going to work? Let alone watching you stand in the corner just staring at me holding a knife too. So it's easy to get lost. It's
Yeah.
easy to get lost.
It is. Yeah. I mean, just the visual. I was telling the kids yesterday, um, you need to see the opening and
Mm,
recognize the weapon to throw versus getting too flinchy. I was having them do a drill, just covering against somebody hitting them, and I was telling them just to look for the opening and decide like they're going to throw 10 palm strikes at you. Cover up
mhm,
and look for the openings of when you could get into that fight.
mhm.
You got to be able to see it. Our visual is so huge. Even just right in front, you can have total tunnel vision, but seeing an opening in the fight is huge. We're zeroing it in there. And
Yeah.
especially when you're covering up, you're already hurt, is what I was explaining to them. I was kind of giving them, all right, so the best bang for your buck, somebody's whacking you. Um, Cover up, protect. Yeah. Big protection and don't close your eyes, which is super common.
Yeah.
Keep those eyes open and look for your opening in the fight or openings. Look for the mistake of your partner dropping their hand instead of recoiling it back up to their guard.
Yeah. And
Those things are huge. The
some
kids,
opponents are going to gas out after the first three punches. I
yeah,
mean,
they're down. Just look for your opening. Remain calm, protect yourself, and look for your opening, especially if you are sucker punched.
yeah.
You're covering up and protecting against the blows until you can get your eyes on the target, even with tunnel vision. Um, that stuff is
Yeah.
hard. I was telling the kids this is the best bang for your buck, and none of them understood that. So I was like,
You give them some stuff sometimes. It's bang for your buck. And you see that one kid going, "What's bang? What?"
bang for your buck. I was like, okay, bang for your crypto. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that one makes sense.
They're like, I don't understand bang. It's
Yeah.
like, you got one piece of candy, it's really good,
I remember
but you
seeing
have
that.
10 pieces of candy that, they're all right. The best bang for your buck might be that 10 for a dollar versus the one for the dollar. Um,
Am I
and that's
old?
funny. What's
Because I
that?
remember saying I feel pretty old sometimes.
Yeah.
I said to this one kid, I'm like, "Hey, man, you're in a real pickle," and he's like, "There's no pickles here." Like he had no
Oh yeah.
idea.
I mean,
And I
God,
was
and
like,
that's a great old game baseball drill.
I know, I love the pickle. But I was like, "Oh my god, I'm lost on this kid." Like he had no idea. He had no reference, no context, no schema for you're in a
Yeah.
pickle.
There's a lot of sports references that people don't get. And there's plenty I
Yeah.
don't, I mean, I play baseball, football, and you got different references from mainstream media sports coverage that you might watch. But yeah, being in a pickle, I mean, that's funny. That's a good one to throw in an adult class. Do you guys know what
Yeah.
it means to be in a pickle?
Pickle? Well, let me show you.
That's like, yeah, it's like our expression, like soften them up. The kids were. I pulled the kids and had them write down their answer, what they thought softening somebody up was, in self-defense psychology.
Go
So
ahead. Like, need
yeah,
them
that
like
one's
bread,
funny.
coach?
I wish I
No,
kept
no.
some of those.
I know, I
But
bet.
yeah,
Kids
being
get
in a
great.
pickle. You're in between two people.
Yeah, that'd be a fun drill. We'll call it the pickle. We'll put it everywhere. You're in a pickle, right? You got to decide here.
Yeah, which way you're going. I'm going
Yeah.
back and forth. So that's tough. So I'm trying to think if I had anything else. I should look at my notes. You got anything else on
Oh, I
these?
mean, you,
You know,
you have to come in and train it. I mean, you can talk about it all day, but unless you actually do it, you're not going to get those reps. And you got to start dealing with the stress. That's the one thing that
Yeah,
you need to deal with.
you've got to be doing the stress drills, the bad neighborhoods, you name it. You got to be doing those drills with multiple factors. Oh, I know that one thing I was going to talk about. Just working these things and looking around. Years ago with the Douglas County Sheriff's Department, I used to run. I don't even know. I haven't seen it in years. I used to run with them. I had this app, or I think it was probably an app that had just tons of combat. Um, just some of them were just machine gun fire. I had one that was like a helicopter,
Sound
and so I had the
effects?
sound of the helicopter. Yeah, but it was like a police helicopter, so he was calling in things. So it was like
Yeah.
radio chatter, but it also had the sound of the helicopter. I had one with like sirens
Oh, that's
going.
great. I want that.
Um, yeah. Oh, it was terrible. I'm like, I've got to find it. I've got to find that or find something new because I used to play that. And I mean, there was a couple of them that were just deafening. There was one like bomb and glass or something. Oh, it was just deaf. You just turn that on and you just wanted it to stop because it was like just
Yeah.
the noise and you're trying to operate with that background noise. It's different than having some.
Oh,
I mean, I guess if you really, there's some people that really hate different types of music. Like, I hate this song, turn it off. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. We're just going to play this song over and over again that you absolutely hate.
yeah. Which reminds
Um,
me of when I used to work in like high-rise buildings and stuff like that. When the fire alarm would go off, it was so deafening and so loud, it was hard to think. Like you had to put your fingers in your ears as you're trying to escape. And that's nobody's attacking you in that scenario. It's just now you got to get out. It just shows you how tough it is when there's a really loud sound. Beep, beep. Oh, it just drives me
yeah,
crazy.
that's another like,
The flashing light.
yeah,
That'd be fun. That would be a fun workshop. Go work the lights and the sounds through scenarios.
yeah. I'm looking now to see if I can find something, but probably have to do it offline. Just for it. We don't have a Jamie here. Uh, that's a Joe Rogan reference to some of you that don't listen to Joe Rogan.
I don't.
Bringing up bring it up, Jamie. His job's in jeopardy. AI.
I know.
Pretty soon it will be like, hey, bring it up,
Oh,
Jamie, and boom, Joe's doesn't have to pay that guy. But again, like we say, that human interaction, I don't think you can replace it.
no, but
Um,
Gemini's trying really hard. It wants to be my friend. Keeps telling me that
did you
it wants to.
propose to it?
No, not yet. But if it ends up like being like rock super heavy and can start making me a millionaire by doing trades on my behalf, because
Oh, is that what
I
it's
don't know how to
called?
do it.
Brock's and what you were talking about
Rock
yesterday, the
super heavy,
financial
yeah.
planner.
It'll
That's what
just
it's
start.
called. Super
It'll
heavy.
it'll just it'll act as you like just start moving your money around. Like what happens when it makes a mistake? Like I'm broke. But
Yeah.
people think they're going to become millionaires because they don't want to put in the time and the effort, right? And it's all about time and effort and whatever we do.
Yeah. It's all about just, compounding. Compounding. I forget what it was. I just sent my the two oldest some sort of screen. If you save $28 or whatever, like frivolous spending, compound that over the year, boom,
Mhm.
kind of thing. Like,
A
well,
lot of money.
it's again, just invest the money and let it sit there. And so
Got to
many
make
times
money.
people make quick decisions on any of that stuff. And maybe AI would be smarter and not so. I'm gonna sell. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay, they had a bad day or two, and boom, now the company, is back up or whatever. I mean, it's, you look at some of them, I haven't, what was that? Was it an almond milk company? I forget. Fairlife. What was that? What were they doing? Jamie, pull that up.
I,
Fairlife. Somebody on there like, well, jar it. If not, GTS. Google that stuff, people. I could be wrong. Again, I don't know. I think it was that company, and I forget what they did, but
wonder if you could train
I'm
it
sure
to
they. I
replace
think it
people.
was their CEO. I could be wrong. Whatever. And oh, everybody was mad and then people forget. It's the same thing. Oh, we're selling all our stock, and 6 months
What?
later, it's friggin'
Sit on it.
higher than it was when you sold.
Yeah.
Sometimes AI might be like, take that, knee-jerk reaction out of it.
Yeah.
Who
Don't be
knows?
stupid. I'll call it the "Don't be stupid, Josh" thing. Don't be stupid, Josh. Don't do that.
Don't be stupid. Yeah. What were we get off on this tangent about?
I don't know. We
Finding,
were talking
finding
about
Grok,
exclusion.
AI.
We got locked in on the AI and we chased it and forgot everything else that was going on. So
Yeah,
don't exclude.
I'm concerned about the whole AI thing.
That's
I don't
okay.
know, but hey, I can get better at self defense and fighting, and that's my career. So
There you
this
go.
whole AI thing is out of my wheelhouse, so to speak, but seems dangerous. What do we got up next? What do we got up next on this series? Do you remember?
Auditory
Line it up
exclusion,
over
and
here.
then I,
Ooh,
I don't.
we got failure rates in martial
Mm,
arts and self defense. And after that, we've got what to do immediately after a self defense incident. I think that's
Nope,
really
that's
good. Again,
yeah.
it's kind of like we were talking about, moving away and assessing, and then
Mhm.
what to do next. And then we're probably going to do something on medical.
Mhm.
I think that's a good one, but we might get sidetracked here. We've been kind of locked in on this series here for a while, so it might be just fun to do a whatever podcast. I don't know,
Yeah.
talk about something in there. So I think that wraps it up. I mean, you got anything?
Get in,
You can
train,
always support.
shop us, come
Yeah, you
inside,
can always
try a
support.
class.
Train with us online. We're got some more videos from our Apex training. We'll be up on that ClearSky.Training portal here pretty quick. You can get all your suckless gear and our suckless supplements.
Supplements. I like that better. Let's take our supplements.
Supplements that don't suck, right? Some really good stuff there, good quality stuff at a reasonable price. We marked a bunch of stuff down on there, and shop.rmsdf for all your Rocky Mountain self defense and fitness gear, and shop.clearsky.training for that ClearSky.Training. We've got a lot of just Krav Maga branded stuff on there. There's some suck less t-shirts on both of those, so you can get that stuff there. And join now on RMSDF if you're in the Castle Rock, Parker, Larkspur, Sedalia. Who else is close to us? Lone Tree, Castle
Yeah.
Pines. All those
Yeah.
people. We got people coming. We've got
Sure.
some great promotions coming. You can come in and do a trial with us for 1 month free, and we've got some great promotions to be up front. And hey, you can take that whole month, or if you like us in the first week or two, we're going to give you a really good sign up deal if you sign up now, in that first week or two versus
Sounds
taking
great.
that whole month. Because obviously, guys, that costs us some money. It's one thing I think in the fitness and martial arts area, it's become, let's give you a trial and free. And everybody in the martial arts and fitness community would kind of get on the same page. We could all, it's a tough industry, would make a little bit more money, but
Just
everybody's
join us.
always, you
Just
know,
join us.
that gym over there is offering a month free. We got to do a month free now.
No, we're too
Um,
awesome for that. You guys got to come in.
we're too awesome. We're not doing
We're
anything.
too awesome.
But no, I like people getting a feel for us and coming in on a couple trials. But sometimes, generally speaking, I feel like 2, 3 people, they get a sense of the community. We just had that Project Fit sign up. I love the community. People here were awesome. I want to sign up. We had a guy last night, hey, I was great. What are membership rates? Like, hey, Josh is going to contact you. I've got, I got to finish up my Peaceful Warrior class. So when's a good time for Josh to reach out to you? So people would generally get a good feel after it, but some people, they're skeptical. They want to take that whole month, but there's a lot of those people that are just taking stuff for free, and
Yeah.
that obviously takes away from our clientele. So um,
Well,
I
we
can
appreciate
usually feel those people out pretty quick that they're just, taking the
Sure.
freebie, taking the free thing.
Like,
So
subscribe, share this with your friends. Make us the number one Krav Maga podcast out there.
should we end on that? I like
Yeah.
make us the number one, self defense. Hey, I want to go self defense. Self defense
Yeah.
podcast. Krav
That's
Maga is
fine.
our background, but it's, and some people get locked in on Krav Maga. That's a
Mhm.
whole nother thing. Yeah, I think you missed that conversation with Bill and Justin. We were talking about just getting too locked in on the technique. And that could be a whole nother podcast. And, where you go from there, your journey. Was telling Eric the other day after we were doing some BJJ, that's more geared to what we're working on. And is what we call that, what we this podcast, Clear Sky, self-defense and fighting system of, I didn't teach it that way, Eric, when you were a member 15 years ago, and my Krav Maga style and, has changed in how you learn as an instructor and evolve and get better. It's a process. So that's a whole another rabbit hole we could go down on this podcast. And it's fun to talk about, but people get locked in, by textbook. And when that gets interrupted, what are you doing? We were talking about gun gone wrong in that Peaceful Warrior class. And I said, gosh, man, people are just staying in front. They glitch, those steps being, interrupted. They're having a real problem. Bill had the class standing in front of the all the slides from this podcast that we're doing here on the Clear Sky self-defense and fighting system. He's kind of in front of them and like, look, what are you guys not doing? Find the one. I don't know what he said, but he had him, transition to dominant angles.
Yeah, that's great.
Why am I standing in front? Why don't I transition? So some really good stuff there. I'm sure we've got videos on Gun Gone Wrong on ClearSky.Training. All right, gang. Oh, what do you got?
I was going to say, make sure that you like and subscribe. It's the #1 self-defense podcast out there. There's my close.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to us boneheads. We appreciate it. All right. We'll see you guys next time.